Hello, Brian from the channel Brian here. I guess I'm gonna review Malignant, although I guess the better word for it might be process or unpack. Malignant is the new horror film by now famous Insidious and Conjuring guy and Aquaman director, James Wan. So Pitbull's cover of Africa? Yeah, that's this guy's fault. Love him or hate him, Wan is maybe the biggest thing in horror since the turn of the century. He's responsible for 3 of the most popular modern horror franchises. I wouldn't call him a subtle man, but the influence and reach of his work is undeniable. And where do you go as a director if you're that guy? You made Warner Brothers $1 billion with fucking Aquaman, now what? Now I don't know how much money was behind Malignant. Clearly not Aquaman numbers, but even compared to Wan's other movies, there's observably less money thrown at the screen here. And seeing where this movie goes, this is clearly his smaller, I'm doing whatever I want movie. There is no chance a studio would trust anyone but Wan with an idea like this. This movie is bad. I know I usually say more than that, but not this time. I mean, it was shot about as well as any other James Wan movie. There's a special brand of cheese Wan's going for, reminiscent of Italian giallo films, but it looks like your average 2010s horror film. I hope you don't hate incredibly repetitive scenes of, uh-oh, I heard something in the dark, better go look and check it out. Oh no, turns out there was something in the dark that made the noise. And other cliche horror garbage that's only scary for the sake of an audience rather than making any kind of sense. I guess the acting was really bad. You can look at each character and trace a line to who would have played them if they had more money. This was meant to be Dakota Johnson. This was meant to be Keanu Reeves. And I swear James Wan was like, get me the closest thing to Florence Pugh we can afford when casting the main character's sister. I want you to imagine me sitting in my bed, glazy-eyed, getting nothing that'd make a good review. But then the third act happened, and I was like, alright, I gotta talk about this. I'm gonna spoil this. There's nothing worth talking about besides what I'm about to say. I swear on my life, watch Malignant if you want the year's real goofiest twist. Last warning, here's a time code for when I'm done. Movie starts in a hospital. Something's killing the doctors. The main doctor has no idea what to do until the world's most dramatic zoom gives her an idea.
It's time. We cut out the cancer.
Yeah, you cut that cancer out. This is important, by the way. Time for opening credits that answer a question I've been asking for years, and that's, what if you mushed together Seven and Goosebumps? Cut to the lady from The Mummy with her husband, who is among the worst actors of all time.
If you've got all this pain, maybe you shouldn't be going to work.
He shoves her into a wall because he's abusive, I don't know. This is important too. The lady from The Mummy has a real problem with the walls in her house. There's a serious architectural flaw. Sometimes they will melt and she'll then see a guy kill people. These are not hallucinations. The people who die are reported as murdered on the news. Now, the way the plot unfolds, you know there's going to be some kind of twist. Wan's clearly showing you stuff to plant questions in your head about why it's happening. It reminded me of The Empty Man, but dumber. Anyway, there's a thing called Gabriel that's haunting the lady from The Mummy. It speaks to her like a demon. She calls him the devil. They even do a flashback where she's blamed for the things Gabriel did, like he's an imaginary friend, like that cliche. He also can control electricity, lights will flicker, and he'll talk through speakers or phones.
The lights will flicker on and off. The phone will ring, and there will be nobody there.
I'm thinking, okay, this demon has something to do with her childhood trauma and it's haunting her. It's killed all the doctors who worked on Mummy Lady's case when she was a kid. It's killed her mom. We'll probably see why this ghost or whatever is haunting her eventually. Mummy Lady's sister goes back to the abandoned hospital where her case was taken care of and finds a VHS tape with Lady's name on it. Okay, that's another thing that happened in The Empty Man. Is the twist gonna be the same as The Empty Man 2 and Gabriel is the Mummy Lady's tulpa? Seems like that could be it. That is not what happens. The tape contains documentary footage indistinguishable from numerous other possessed kid mumbling about a demon speaking to them scenes, only for the camera to go behind her and there's a giant tumor person growing out of the back of her body. Gabriel is not a demon, he is Mummy Lady's parasitic conjoined twin who shares a brain with her, feeding her all of these evil thoughts. They try amputating him, but they couldn't get rid of his face, so they just shove it into the back of her skull, where he has been living her entire life until the husband knocked her head into the wall at the beginning of the movie. He's been tricking her senses into believing she's just been going about her life when really Gabriel's been piloting her body and conducting the murders. As for how this lets Gabriel manipulate electricity, Mummy Lady is arrested because the police think she did all the murders, which, I mean, technically they're right. You'd think they'd have figured that out earlier. Her hair is kinda long. You'd think at least one would have fallen out at any point during these murders. And the other inmates start beating her up and it turns into that scene from Ghost Rider. Gabriel takes over Mummy Lady's body, pushes what's left of his face out of the back of her skull, kills everyone inside, and then kills the entire police precinct with her bare hands. And it's hilarious. It is the funniest thing watching this horror movie try to be scary for the first 2/3 only to give up and become a Doom Eternal meme. Yeah, that's it. It wasn't a demon. It was a malignant tumor twin that squeezes his face out the back of the host's skull and turns the movie into the church scene from Kingsman. What happens after that? I don't know. 5 minutes later, the movie's over anyway. Who cares? It's actually a really well foreshadowed twist with some good misdirection. It's just building towards the silliest, goofiest thing in the world and almost made the movie worth it. I would still say my overall experience was bad because for most of it, my mood was regularly swinging between annoyed and bored. Forget about scared, holy shit. Before the twist, Malignant's either failing at being tongue-in-cheek or ineffectively dispensing modern horror cliches. And after the twist, you'll be laughing too hard to be scared. Malignant is not a good movie, but James Wan may have accomplished exactly what he set out to do. May not have panned out, but it's worth your time more than your average bland garbage despite giving me an overall worse experience than most of that kind of movie. And having said the only things about this movie that matter, I'm giving Malignant a 4 out of 10. Anyway, did you like this movie more than me? Less than me? Well, if you care to, please tell me. And if you like not only words, but the way I arrange and then say them, please consider liking this video. It helps me with the algorithm. And subscribing to me, Brian from the channel Brian. Thank you, and goodbye.